to they are creeping up on you, which I think is absolutely fucking tremendous as well.
Well, do you know what? This is the one that I always think is the one I tend to forget a bit about.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but it doesn't
How?
stick with me much. I don't know why.
I mean, I mean, this one, it's gleefully malevolent, and yet it's got the moral righteousness
Oh,
of
definitely.
the EC comics. Upson Pratt is a total fucking arsehole. He's a deeply unpleasant person. He totally gets his comeuppance. His anxieties and fears are all out on the surface, and boy, do they get their comeuppance.
Mhm.
Oh, I just think it's fucking brilliant. And the sense of growing panic building up and up and up, and some of this the stages within that are just so horrible. Like that fucking muesli.
But it's that growing sense of, wait, what the hell? And then something else happens, and then something else happens, and then you realise you are completely at the mercy. This whole Howard Hughes thing, this hermetically sealed, isolated environment, which doesn't seem like a bad place to be living.
Well, isn't it implied that it's New York?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. Manhattan somewhere.
Manhattan, which is a pretty roachy place, apparently is. But then, I lived in Beijing, as you obviously know, and we had an apartment there that was fucking roachy. And I tell you, those little bastards give me the terror.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You try and get rid of the fuckers. You know, you'd put down your traps, you'd clear out every place. But unfortunately, I think it was the age of the apartment that we lived in and everything. It was just, there was no getting rid of the little bastards. And it was at night time. Oh, God. I would fear to go into the kitchen at night time.
The crunchy floor.
No, it wasn't like that. But it was just, oh God! I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, you're talking from some personal experience here, then, which is
But even before that, I thought objectively it's still a great segment because the sense of rising terror, unease that builds into terror and panic is just phenomenal. And again, as a one-hander, pretty much, he has conversations with other people. Again, he's playing a very broad character, but at the same time, that evil malevolence that he has totally justifies it. He is one bad motherfucker.
Again, the quality of the casting here. You've got E.G. Marshall, who's an incredibly well-respected actor and properly dramatic, serious. One of the 12 Angry Men, I think it was.
Right.
And let's not forget, he was the president in Superman 2.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, he just plays the character, just makes him into this. It's the worst monsters are the people here. It's clearly a take on Howard Hughes. I mean, thankfully, we don't see the jars of piss or the tissue boxes on the feet sort of thing.
Or the spruce.
I knew you were going to go there.
Take us from Adelaide Airport to the Belgian capital in 15 minutes.
Oh,
sir. Muddle.
Anyway.
Get in. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, all the things here just establishes him as being a total bastard. He has his conversations with his staff, and he's a complete fucking dickhead. He drove one of his employees to death, and then his widow phones him, and he's not sympathetic whatsoever.
No, he's not. He deserves everything that he gets. This is not a pleasant man. And again, I'm sure there are parallels with people in positions of high power now.
Who you might like to see with hundreds of thousands of cockroaches bursting from their skin. In fact, isn't there a certain president of the United States who is quite germophobic himself?
Well, yeah, if you inject yourself with disinfectant, I think you probably get away from worrying about that in one way or another.
There's not much real plot to this. It's just the gradual build-up and seeing gradually more and more and more cockroaches roving about. So it's like steps along the way of things building up. So he's eating this sort of muesli paste. Then he looks through it. Then he opens the box down and the fucking roaches are running through it. Like, oh my God. Looking through the paste and it's like, there must have been the little bastards in there.
But then you get to that sense of, okay, well, how is this happening? Clearly the widow is behind this somehow. But there's no sense of quite how this has been achieved. Maybe there doesn't necessarily need to be, but...
No, I don't think there needs to be an explanation. If everything's explained mechanically, it takes away the charm of it, doesn't it? It's just bad shit happens to people who deserve it, and why hey.
Yeah, I suppose. Do you know what's weird? In terms of Stephen King stories, this in some ways reminds me of, not in terms of the characterization or anything, but this is the situation. It reminds me a little bit of, it's a Night Shift, it's called Battleground.
All right.
The salesman pinned down and fighting against toy soldiers. And I can't remember the context of why he ends up in that situation, but there's a similar feeling of that sort of someone trying to take revenge on him because he's done something to piss them off or undermine them, or he's ruined somebody.
Okay.
And the idea of this minuscule army of weight of numbers, and apart from the fact that in their case they also have a nuclear bomb, but there's a toy atom bomb or something that ends up being used as the sort of the ultimate weapon. A cracking story, but yeah, there's just elements of that feel very similar to this in terms of the tone or the ideas of it, rather than the practicalities of it.
As I say, I'm not sure if it's directly implied that it's the guy's wife who's behind it. It just seems like establishing that he's a total cunt. And
I'm sure that there was something she'd said that made it very clear that she'd done something or she'd arranged something that maybe not. I mean,
interesting that we have this different takes on it. Anyway, either way, the roaches build up and build up and build up, and he sees them on his roof, like in the glass, and he sees the shadows on the floor below him. Then they're coming out the sink. Then they're just everywhere. They're coming out the vents.
Just the scent. I mean, when they start pouring, literally pouring out of the vent as well.
And the lights go out, and he's into his panic room. That is proper horror. That is terror. Because what you see is not that scary as such, but it's just genuine panic and fear and just,
yeah. This is not going to end well, especially when the lights go out. And it's one of these, you put yourself in that situation. I mean, all these bugs, bad enough when you can see them, but then you can't.
And he's trying to do the intercom going, Upson Pratt! It's Upson Pratt!
Oh. The weakness all of a sudden in his voice.
Oh, God, and they're on the phone and they're in his jukebox.
Ooh, going back to the jukebox there. The music that plays at the start of this segment in his jukebox is the same music as plays over the end credits of Evil Dead.
I presume that's a deliberate homage, was it? What year was Evil Dead?
Evil Dead was, 80 or 81?
Yeah, it was earlier, wasn't it? Is it in Dance Macabre that Stephen King says that there's 3 levels of fear which can be used by the horror writer? There's terror, which is in your mind alone. There is horror, which is fear and loathing, like from a dead body, for example. Or there is revulsion at the sight of something disgusting, the maggots broiling out of that eye. And this is great at both horror and revulsion. The revulsion of it is so fucking strong, but it's also horror as well, because you see this person literally attacked by a swarm of utterly disgusting things, and fear and the shaking them off and the panic and the terror. And oh my God.
And I was going to say he ends up consumed by them, but it's sort of the reverse is true. And then the lights come on again, and they've all gone.
Back to normal. And then there's that lovely ending where he's on his back in his panic room, and then there's a rather ominous bulging that comes from his chest and his arms, a spot of blood out of his head.
Yep, splits in the skin.
Oh, then they come out of his mouth. Oh,
come out of everywhere. Yeah, it gets quite horrific, doesn't it?
Yeah. Apparently, they spent $250,000 on the cockroaches.
They had 250,000 cockroaches, and Romero reckoned they cost 50 cents each.
Oh,
that's a lot of money. They were supposed to, I think, humanely kill them all at the end of the shoot, but I think everybody involved agrees. Counted them all out.
Counted them back in. You're not Michael Burke.
Nah.
I'm not allowed to say how many planes joined the raid, but I counted them all out, and I counted them all back.
So
this is the one that gets to you on the revulsion.
Definitely. So I think it's a great segment. The fact that I'm watching it, 30 years later, and it still makes me totally wince is pretty telling.
And yeah, I mean, we're talking 30 years later, and still, I mean, we're talking special effects now that are almost 40 years old here, and they hold up incredibly well. They're still impressive to look at, and the technical element of it, you can tell when it's just fake.
Yeah. So, again, similar to Jordy Verrill, you have to have that really broad character. I think he does that really well. Like what rats were to London in the 70s, I think the roaches were to New York. They were both a pest and a symbol of political decline, etc., yeah. So, overall, they're keeping up with you. I think it's a highly successful segment. It's horrifying, it's chilling, it's extremely revolting. E.G. Marshall's performance is fantastic. It just gives me the pure fear.
Yeah, it's a really unsettling segment, isn't it?
It is.
Stupid thing to say, but it does get under your skin.
Thank you for that.
It's and that last shot just stays with you. That the sealed room full of cockroaches, but as well just that probably the money shot of the film, the special effect of the corpse bursting open.
Also that the way it moves to the everything just spiraling out of control. You've got the initial glimmers of something going wrong, then it builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and then pooah!
Yep.
Here is a very nasty person, and he thinks he's got everything under control. Gradually, the cracks start to appear, and then slowly, it's the tipping point.
It's just the universe having a sort of form of poetic justice meted out on him. Really,
yeah, but exactly. It's the universe acting against it, and against him.